Welcome to the Week 5 Ham and Egg pregame show. My name is Drew Forbes.
Derek Daniels.
Marcus Anthony.
So last week was, I'm not even going to call it wild. I feel like we've started out every single week just by saying, oh, it was a wild week last week. It actually really wasn't wild. I think it was somewhat predictable across the board. Buffalo came back down to earth. I think the Saints beating the Cowboys is a little bit surprising, but other than that, there weren't really that many surprise games. You guys obviously did extremely well. Marcus, 6-0.
Yeah, and that's just the start, man. I crushed everything up and down, left and right. I couldn't miss, and it was immaculate. Like all the heavens and stars were aligning perfectly. Couldn't have asked for a better weekend.
And Derek continues to rumble on at 4-2.
Yeah, it was good. Not as good as Marcus, obviously missed a couple, but trying to stay consistent.
Now, I for the first time since we've been doing this, I actually took more than 5 minutes to do my picks, so I'm hoping for a little bit of better outcome. I did finish 4-2 last week, so I got back to even. I'm looking to make a push to get back in this thing because I'm sick of losing, especially to these guys. So let's go ahead and kick it off. I do want to remind everyone about the format. We're not picking the 6 games that we think are the easiest spreads. We are doing this completely randomly. 4 random games, and then 2 of the primetime games, so the Sunday night and the Monday night games. On the tap for this week, we have some ridiculously bad trap games, so this is going to be a really interesting game. If I had to pick the 6 games I didn't want to bet on, it'd probably be these 6 games.
Yeah, and it's funny you say trap week. That's exactly what I'm labeling the entire week, top to bottom, just about every game. This week is a trap set by Vegas, and a lot of people are going to be falling for it.
Yeah.
So let's kick it off with what I think might be the biggest trap game of the entire week. Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Baltimore is favored by 3.5 points at Pittsburgh.
So for me, I'm a homer, Steelers. I'm very high on what they're doing. I think Baltimore has some of their weaknesses are starting to get exploited. I think Pittsburgh still has a long way to go to be where I'm expecting them to get. I think this week will definitely be a little more older style traditional game of Pittsburgh and Baltimore than we're starting to get used to. I think it's going to be very smash mouth. I think it's going to be a very physical game. I think the Steelers drafted Devin Bush and signed Mark Barnes specifically to stop Lamar Jackson. Bush is starting to come around. He's playing hard, playing fast, and in the right spot. For me, Steelers cover all day, plus 3.5, and probably win outright.
So this is one where I, even coming into this room, wasn't 100% sure which way I was going to go. Had kind of both situations written out from a note standpoint. But I think the biggest thing that is going to tip it over for me, Baltimore has established themselves as a ground and pound run team. I think they're going to kind of grind it slow. I don't know that Pittsburgh's really shown that they can stop the run well so far. And on the other side of the ball, the Steelers averaged 2.6 yards per carry last week, even in a win against a bad team. So I'm going to take Baltimore to cover.
Yep, I'm going to stick with that as well. I think Baltimore, they've stumbled in recent weeks. I just flat out don't like Pittsburgh this year without Roethlisberger. I think with Roethlisberger, they're a perennial playoff team like they always are. With Rudolph, I think that they're an average to below average team. So I do not think that at Baltimore. I do think that their defense has been exposed a little bit, but I have faith in John Harbaugh's coaching, and I think that he definitely ekes out the win on the road in Pittsburgh. And covers the spread in the process. So let's move it on. I think this game is really interesting. This might actually be the most interesting game of the week for me. We got Tampa at New Orleans. New Orleans is favored by 3 at home.
So this is something we harped on all offseason, the first couple weeks. Bruce Arians, Jameis Winston, and man, he looks good. His numbers are almost impeccable. Top 5 up there. They're throwing the ball well. There's still some turnovers. There's a slight learning curve, but he's been way more effective, than anyone really anticipated. Even though I took New Orleans against Dallas last week, I'm riding this Jameis train, and I think they're gonna cover this plus 3 on the road.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. So I think that Tampa started off really slow. They looked a little disconjointed. It's a new offense, a new system. They've they've gradually gotten better every week, and I think they're trending the right direction. I think that trend continues. New Orleans obviously didn't score a touchdown. There were no touchdowns in their game against Dallas. And I think Jameis can put enough together to get a couple touchdowns on the board. I think Tampa's defense is pretty close to on par with Dallas. So I think overall, I think I like Tampa to go in and win, which is something they haven't done a lot of lately. They're 4-9 against NFC South opponents in the last 13 games, but I think they get one game closer to 500.
Yeah, and I don't know if that record really even means anything with their terrible coaching staff that they had last year.
Probably not.
I'm definitely going Tampa, and I actually, across the board, this is the game I'm the most confident in. I think, New Orleans, their defense looked good last week, but their offense did not look good. And if you're comparing the Cowboys and the Bucs offense, I'll take the Bucs, and that's weird for me to say. Last week, I went from being kind of on the fence, the Bucs, to being a complete buyer. They've lost one game this year. It was against a good San Francisco team, and they lost by 14 points. Jameis Winston threw 2 pick sixes. It's clear that Jameis Winston's getting more comfortable with the system. I predicted at the beginning of the year that he would be a top 5 quarterback in fantasy, and he certainly looks like he has the stuff to do that. So I'm taking Tampa, and I'm confident about it. That's my lock of the week for that one.
I think it's interesting, too, that that division's wide open right now.
Yeah.
Atlanta looks like they're
Atlanta's terrible.
Really bad. They're tanking without even trying to tank.
Surprisingly, I'll admit preseason they were my favorite to come in and reclaim the South.
They have all the pieces. They just don't seem to have like an actual identity.
Yeah. The coaching staff. I go to Atlanta a lot for work. The coaching staff weirdly gets a pass. It's a bizarre team to me. They're super talented. They should not be this bad. Matt Ryan he's like
professional quarterback.
Yeah, he's like Kirk Cousins on steroids. Honestly, like he's really good at putting up numbers and making himself look good. Like on paper, if you were just look at Matt Ryan's career, wow, Hall of Famer. It's just he doesn't do it for me. The guy's not a good quarterback.
Yeah.
And then another interesting one: Green Bay at Dallas. Dallas is favored by 3.5. Marcus, who you got?
So this one has trap written top to bottom. Dallas losing primetime against New Orleans, confident going into the year. Trying to make a statement, another big game. Green Bay got embarrassed last week. Embarrassed from the beginning to the end. But for me, Green Bay's defense is pretty underrated, and Dallas is. I hate Dallas. I think they're completely overrated. But Green Bay's defense is going to play better than they did last week. They had 10 days off. Aaron Rodgers he's going to come out firing, and I think he looks poised to really carry this team on his back if he needs to. I don't think that they let it down, and I take Green Bay plus 3.5 plus the points.
Yeah, so I'm in a similar situation. A lot of the same talking points. I think Green Bay has a very good defense, secondary especially. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, they built it the right way, slowly through the draft, cheap free agent acquisitions. Big fan of their defense. I think that. Again, on par, around the same neighborhood as New Orleans. I like New Orleans' defense a lot as well. And if the Cowboys only put up 9 points, I'd like Aaron Rodgers to get at least 2 touchdowns. So I'm going to take Green Bay there.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking Green Bay. When I saw Dallas was favored in this, it makes sense. They're at home. But, God, who plays Dallas harder than anybody? Aaron freaking Rodgers, and that's a guy that rises to the occasion. I have no faith in the Packers as a whole. I have every bit of faith in Aaron Rodgers. I harp on their defense. I still think it's overrated, and the Eagles truly exposed it last week. And I don't know why teams haven't been doing this. Ezekiel Elliott's going to be the number 1 fantasy running back this week. I mark it. Yeah. I'm telling you, their defense is terrible.
Yeah.
Zeke's going to run wild. But what they're going to do is they're just going to let Zeke run wild, and then they're going to stack the box, and they're going to make Dak Prescott throw it. And even with them stacking the box against the Eagles last week, they still ran wild, but they could hold them in check. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what they're going to do all game. Yeah. And I definitely think I don't know if Green Bay's going to win, but I definitely think they're going to cover.
Bend but don't break.
Yep. So, interesting game. It's really not that interesting. Denver at San Diego. San Diego's favored by 6.5 at home. Marcus, who you got?
So, I hate everything about this game. I'm probably not even going to watch it. Chargers are desperately missing Derwin James. Desperately. I think they might get a little help with Melvin coming back. Denver Joe Flacco's terrible. Bradley Chubb tearing his ACL is really going to hurt that defense that showed a little bit of life last week. I usually like going with road dogs, but I'll take San Diego -6.5 at home. Try and get a little consistency out of them.
So for me, this is one of those situations where I don't know if the lines makers are giving LA credit for home field advantage like they typically do, because LA does not have a home field. They have like 15,000 people for that stadium, and they are actually in their last 39 games, they are 11-27-1 against the spread at home. I don't think it's a good matchup. I think Denver, even though they've lost every game, have been in every game and give it away late at the end. So I could see this still being a field goal win for the Chargers, but I definitely think Denver covers.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm going San Diego on this one, and a lot of your points were great. San Diego truly doesn't have a home field, especially if you got a team in the Midwest. Go give a few more points edge to that other team, because I'm telling you, the Vikings play San Diego on the road this year. Guarantee there's more Vikings fans in that stadium. I've actually been in that stadium. I watched a U.S. soccer game. It's so tiny. It's so intimate and ridiculous. However, I do think San Diego is going to get back on their feet again. I like Melvin Gordon coming back. I think their running game, they were good with Eckler. They're going to be so good with Melvin Gordon. So I think Melvin Gordon is going to be much needed, and Eckler's not going to be completely out of it. I think that, Gordon comes in, and Eckler and him complement each other like they did last year. I think the offense gets going again. Hopefully the defense can find their footing until James gets back, but I definitely think they get back on their feet, and I think they cover the 6.5 at home. Next game, and this feels like a trap in a million different ways. That's why it's trap week. We got Indianapolis at Kansas City. Kansas City's favored by 11, which may not surprise a lot of people. It certainly surprises me. Marcus, what's your take?
So I love road dogs. I love road double-digit dogs. Double-digit dogs cover, I think it's 60 some odd percent. And a fun fact for this year, road dogs are covering 68.3% of spreads. That's where everyone's beaten Vegas thus far. That's why we're seeing a little bit of a line adjustment to kind of correct itself. Mm-hmm. Indy, I think they have the right pieces, but Malik Hooker being out with his meniscus tear is really killing them. Darius Leonard being out the last couple weeks, I think he's still a question mark with his concussion that he got against Tennessee. So that's kind of where they're struggling at right now. Marlon Mack, he's questionable too. He got dinged up. And 9.999 times out of 10, I'm taking double-digit dogs on the road, and I hope this bites me in the ass. But trap week, you got to make some corrections. Kansas City covers 11 points at home.
So I guess I'm falling for the trap on this one. I really, really like what Indianapolis has done. Obviously, short notice on the Andrew Luck retirement. But this is a situation where I don't think the Lions makers have necessarily caught up. And Andrew Luck on name value, I think they're giving him a little bit more credit. He's been 80% for probably 2 or 3 years. And 80% of Andrew Luck is pretty much what you get out of Jacoby Brissett. I don't think they've actually realized a huge drop-off there. Andy Reid teams, since 2013, since he took over the Chiefs, they're 3-6 when favored by 9 or more. Granted, a lot of those were Alex Smith's fault. But I feel like this is a situation where Indy at least keeps it close. So I'm going to take Indy plus the 11 points there.
Yeah, I'm taking Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes threw for 0 touchdown passes last week. The universe is going to correct itself, and he's going to throw for 10 this week. No, but seriously, I mean, like with what Marcus was saying, Indy's really beat up right now. I like Kansas City at home. I don't care what the spread is. I mean, within reason, I'm taking Kansas City every time. I think Matt Patricia, he's one of these guys, and I'm referring to the game last week where the Lions almost beat Kansas City. Matt Patricia learned from Bill Belichick in learning how to take away their best weapon, and they took away Patrick Mahomes last week. However they did it, I'm not sure, but I don't think that Indy can replicate it. I think Kansas City comes back strong. Andy Reid, whatever went wrong last week, he makes the adjustments. He knocks it out. I think that they get blown out in KC.
I think that first quarter and a half is going to be huge. So where Indy did struggle against Oakland was they got behind early, which made them a little more one-dimensional.
Right.
I think that's Kansas City's best opportunity to blow the top off. Obviously, I think they're going to, but that first quarter and a half is really going to, I think, dictate how this game finishes out.
I think so, too. And I think they keep it close early. That's kind of why I'm leading on them. But to your point, Brissett is a play-action passer. Mm-hmm. He does really well rolling out, got decent mobility, really wants to play off the play action. If they get behind and he's in the gun throwing with 3-4 wide receivers in there, it could turn into 14, 21 points really easy.
All right, let's keep it rolling. We got Cleveland at San Francisco. San Francisco's favored by 3.5, and probably the most surprising 3-0 or 4-0 team there is.
Bye week last week.
Yeah. Right, they did have a bye,
yep.
So probably one of the most surprising undefeated teams, but maybe they're just undefeated by virtue of not playing last week. San Francisco favored by 3.5 against a surging Cleveland. What do you think, Marcus?
I wish I could buy a point on this game. I really do for this pick'em. I'm going to buy a point when I bet this game. But my two questions going into this are, which Browns team is going to show up? They're either going to play well or drop a dud.
Yep.
Coming off a huge win for them on the road, like blowing out Baltimore. Do they do that, or do they come out how they did against Tennessee? My other one is, we know the Niners are coming off that bye. They're going to be well rested. I think they're well coached enough and disciplined enough that they're not going to just come out sluggish. My only question mark with how they show up is they do have the Rams the following week. Do they get a little antsy? Are they buying into the hype of how good they are?
Right.
So those are my two storylines going into that game. But I need Cleveland to lose after Pittsburgh beats Baltimore, and so I'm taking the Niners to cover 3.5.
Okay. So Myles Garrett plus no Joe Staley is not a good matchup. It's not a good equation if you're San Francisco. So yeah, San Francisco is 3-0. But they beat the Bucs week 1, who, again, we talked about their identity crisis. They looked disconjointed. And then they beat the Bengals and Steelers, who, if you watched their game last week, neither team is that impressive. So it's a pretty hollow 3-0 to me. Mm-hmm. And we saw what happened to Dallas the first time they met resistance after playing a weak schedule to get them to 3-0. They weren't that impressive. The offense looked like a shell of itself. I'm kind of expecting the same. I am a big Jimmy Garoppolo fan in general. I liked him when he was with New England. I thought he was going to be good if he stuck around, replacement to Tom Brady. But he's not going to have the luxury of turning the ball over. Was it 5 or 6 times last week? The last time they played against Pittsburgh. It was either 5 or 6 times. I think they were -3 in the turnover ratio. You're not going to get away with winning games like that again. So they have ball control issues. And even though I'm not 100% on this hype, back on the Cleveland hype train, I think they probably have to do it 2 or 3 weeks in a row before I get back on fully. I still think they go in and at least cover. I still like them to win the game.
Man, this is the toughest matchup of the week for me. Even more tough than the Pittsburgh-Baltimore. I left it blank. Literally, I just wrote in San Francisco when Marcus was talking, and now I feel like writing in Cleveland. I honestly, both your points are extremely valid. San Francisco, really, they put a soft schedule. They got the luxury of playing the Bucs at probably their most vulnerable time.
Yep.
Week 1, before Jameis got really into the offense. Who do they play? The Redskins?
No, Bengals and Steelers.
Bengals and Steelers, exactly. That's one strong team and 2 weak teams, yep, in my opinion. So, man, this one is tough, and this one's right down the wire. I'm gonna go San Francisco, just because it's 3.5. I think it is gonna be a close game, being on the road, and I'm just gonna go with my gut on this one and go San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a tough week.
None of these are easy.
It's awful.
I haven't gone back and forth this much on this many games in quite some time. But it keeps you sharp, keeps you interested, and this is what we love. Gives us a lot more things to read about instead of just like, oh, Chicago's playing Oakland. All right, Chicago's gonna win. Let's go to the next game.
Right.
We got a lot to think about this week. A lot of numbers to crunch. A lot of storylines to read on. But yes, that's what we love doing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So if you stuck with us or you're just joining up with us, I'm 9-9. Derek, you're
11 and 5. Doesn't that math work out? 7. 11-7.
And Marcus?
Daddy's 12-6 after a 6-0 week last week.
So if you're looking for someone based on that record, you want to go with Marcus. But if you're looking for the best looking, certainly go with me. That wraps up week 5. Please subscribe to us on YouTube if you get the chance. We're going to post this on YouTube every week as well as Facebook. And then we're also going to post it on more platforms as we go. If you like us, leave some feedback. If you don't like us, tell us we suck. A lot of you are good with that. And certainly, if you have feedback for us, we're evolving. We're doing this thing as we go. We're building this ship as we sail. So we want feedback. So roast us if you feel it's proper. But please continue to watch us. Stick with us. This thing's going to get better and better. And thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, guys. Good luck this week.
Go Bolts.
Have a great week 5. Go Dodgers.